Let's begin the new year with a 25-year-old franchise. Servus Freunde, my name is Jimmy Cage, and when this new Scream is coming out in 2 days, it has been exactly 25 years and 25 days since the original was released in December of 1996. It has become an old franchise, and doing something fresh and exciting with the trademark meta nature of these movies isn't that easy. After the first trilogy, it took 11 years for a fourth one, which, as far as I can remember, I still enjoyed quite a bit. And now it took another 11 years for the fifth installment. Initially, it was planned to start a second trilogy with Scream 4, but while the movie did okay at the box office, it didn't do nearly as great as they expected. And when director and horror icon Wes Craven died in 2015, it seemed to be the end of it. But if we know one thing when it comes to movies, franchises, horror and nostalgia, it's that it's never truly over. So here we are once again. With the original writer Kevin Williamson acting as producer, this new version was written by James Vanderbilt and Guy Busick and directed by Matt Bettinelli-Olpin and Tyler Gillett, who made a pretty decent horror comedy Ready or Not a few years ago. Now, without further ado, this is a pretty neat sequel that certainly delivers on the things that make Scream so much fun. It features a nice new ensemble cast, playing a group of friends in which, once again, everybody is a suspect. And the movie is able to keep that tension and mystery alive until the very end. I think there's not a single character, well, with the exception of our old ones, who I didn't think at one point could be Ghostface. And from the get-go, the movie and the characters themselves are playing with this notion that it could be anyone. And the playful meta-commentary on the horror genre and the particular rules that apply are of course front and center again. This time around, it's not a sequel, not a trilogy, not a pseudo-remake, but a so-called requel. A kind of remake or reboot that's also continuing the story and therefore a sequel. With Star Wars, Jurassic Park, or when it comes to horror, the 2018 Halloween or last year's Candyman, it was only logical to go this path. That's also why in this case I can very much excuse or even enjoy the decision to not name this Scream 5, but just Scream. And while it doesn't neglect the existence of the previous sequels like Halloween did, it nevertheless is all about the original and the legacy of that one's characters. Similar to Wes Craven's other iconic horror film A Nightmare on Elm Street, the Scream movies are very much about the past. Specifically sins from the past and how they have consequences for the present. How the things that one's parents did or were involved in are coming back to haunt you. And that's also what's happening in this newest one. Our new main protagonist Sam, played by Melissa Barrera, is returning to Woodsboro when this new Ghostface emerges, and she too has to address old secrets and wounds. And then we of course also get our so-called legacy characters returning. Neve Campbell, Courtney Cox and David Arquette are all back, and I can't lie that the movie certainly had some surprisingly touching moments for me. And like I said earlier, the new cast is also doing a fine job, and I was specifically entertained by Jack Quaid's charming performance as the boyfriend Richie. But where the movie really shines, and where I think it's gaining a whole new wonderful layer, is in its climax. In that final reveal, when we find out what was really going on all the time. Those scenes were always among the absolute highlights of these movies, and without spoiling anything, I was enjoying the living hell out of the angle they picked for this one. I really wasn't expecting that they would be able to come up with a fresh take on this whole concept and do something equally pointed and funny with it. Overall, this is a pretty good Scream film, and I only really have some minor issues with it. For once, I honestly didn't find most of the kills and the sequences leading up to them all that exciting, terrifying or fun. It can be very graphical and brutal, but I think it's more about the way the movie is shot. It's totally fine and functional, but also just a little bit bland. I miss that certain cinematic touch. The atmosphere isn't all that dense either, and the jump scares, Ghostface appearing all of a sudden, are fairly predictable or all too familiar. The same goes for the music, which is mostly just fine and functional as well. And this might be a nitpick, but it bothered me nonetheless. It happens very early on, so it's really not a spoiler at all, but there's one CGI or de-aged character that to me looked just very fake and off-putting. The idea behind it is alright, but also a bit too on the nose, and I just don't think it was necessary. I also think it doesn't make that much sense that that character would see that person that way. But none of my criticism really hurt my overall enjoyment too much, and while I honestly wasn't really that much looking forward to a new Scream, in the end it was a surprisingly nice revisit of the franchise. So in German I'd say, mit einem guten neuen Cast, dem gewohnt hohen und amüsantem Meta-Level und einer echt cleveren, witzigen Auflösung gelingt dem neuen Scream doch tatsächlich, dieser 25 Jahre alten Franchise neues Leben einzuhauchen. I give Scream 7 out of 10. It's more like 7.4, but I don't do that.
Hello, Sydney. It's an honor.
Alright, that's it like always. Comment below and let me know what you think about the new Scream. You can hit me up on Twitter, Instagram, Letterboxd and also on Patreon, simply at TheJimmyCage. And if you enjoyed this episode, please give me a thumbs up, share, subscribe, whatever you like. And make sure you hit that bell for all I have to tell.